Happy Friday, beautiful people. Episode 115 of Two Chaps, Many Cultures. Welcome back to the show. Today we have a wonderful guest, somebody who means, a great deal to a lot of people in our field. Really, she does. So, I mean, we're not going to delay this anymore. Please, let's get into the intro, and we will be talking to this special guest on the other side. Stick around. I don't know what it is. I feel very energized today. It's Friday. Not that it makes any difference. You should be energized every day. I feel very good. I don't know. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I just feel very good. Is that okay?
I feel good. Is it because you bought a car yesterday?
I might have. Yeah. And not for me. But retail therapy is always good. It's just one how. Well, yeah, welcome. It's the show. How on culture and business. Come on. I'm going to start again.
It is the show where we talk about the culture of business and the business of culture.
Absolutely.
What your business has to do with culture and how your business will get better if you get that thing called culture. I'm going to get in your face about this. All right.
Okay, tone it down a little bit. Just relax. Because today we've got somebody who is, look, I'm just going to give it up. Well, I'll talk about it when we introduce her. But
buongiorno,
yay, antemo.
Buongiorno a tutti.
Yeah. So we have a very special guest today, Patricia Malidor-Coleman. Please. I'm going to bring her straight into the show. I'm going to bring her on. Come on, this is.
Bring her on.
Hey, we can't lay all this praise on Patricia and have her sitting in the green room eating all our blue M&Ms. We just can't do it. How are you, Patricia?
I am Globaliscious. How are you? How are you feeling today, Christian? Wie geht's, Christian?
Es geht sehr gut. I'm feeling energized because of this guy who's just bringing it today. And then you, the sunshine from the Caribbean. What else could I feel but energized?
Yes. So I'm going to ask it again. Christian, wie geht's? How are you?
Mir geht's super. Wie geht's dir?
Global.
Oh, mir geht's Globaliscious.
Oh, there you go.
Globaliscious. Sehr Globaliscious. Yeah, there we go.
All right. Well, welcome, Patricia. And I did say, look, Patricia is a special person in my life particularly, but everybody in this field, because, I think back at the time that I walked into a CETA conference in 2014 in Portland, Oregon. And I got to tell you that, one of the people that impacted the way that I felt so welcomed and accepted as this kind of green gringo that just walked in and perhaps thought that he might have known a thing or two, but understood that he didn't, was somebody like Patricia who embraced me then and embraces everybody through her lens of being globalicious and encouraging everybody to just to live the best life they can, right? And of course we talk about things when change. We like change, we embrace change, but we usually embrace change when it comes along in an expected way, where we're kind of like searching for change. What happens if change is forced upon us, like in this case of this year that has taken place, right? And Patricia has given a lot of great keynote talks and talked about this. So I'm not going to steal her thunder. Please, Patricia, just give us a little bit of your elevator pitch, because you have such a wonderful background and heritage to draw on, multiple heritages to draw on. Well, I'm sure everybody would love to hear about that. So lay it on us, my dear.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me, Globalicious ones. I have named myself Miss Globalicious from an identity journey, not to say crisis. I'm very mindful of the words that we use, the positivity in life, because life throws so many things at you. so many obstacles that I've turned that big O into opportunity. And that's been my life ever since I was little. So yes, I'm multicultural, multilingual, as a biracial woman, of a mother from France and a father with all the exotism that you can imagine from colonization. I had kind of an identity question mark very early on, and I thought that it was rather interesting. I was very curious about it. So that's where the intercultural work started with me. But as I grew up and started traveling around the world, from Europe to the Americas, I found that I was getting so many labels. So depending on where I was in the world, from thinking that I was Moroccan, which means that, okay, are you Moroccan? Do you speak Arabic? Are you Muslim? Are you Jewish? Moving to the Americas, are you Dominicana, Cubana? And I just thought that was so interesting. At first, I had a bit of an attitude, and I realized that's not the right way to connect with people. So one of the values that I have, which I'm very happy about, is the relationship, and relationship builds trust. So I quickly understood that in order to feel embraced by a new culture, by a group, I needed to belong. And belonging was immediate the minute that I learned a few words in every language, and feel so honored that people would think that I'm either, Moroccan or Brazilian or Cuban or Jamaican. And the minute that I switched to that language or that greeting, then they saw, one, I wasn't, but I was somebody who would try and somebody they would embrace. So I have made an amazing network of people, but feeling so on trial so many times. So what are you? The big what are you? And some of you have heard some of the talks that I've had. I did not like that. So when I say I'm Miss Globaliscious, I'm just Globaliscious. And it would really, what does this mean? And the exchange, the dance in communication started. So Globaliscious is an identity for me. Globaliscious is a philosophy. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to say, I feel Globaliscious today. I'm telling you, all the pain goes away, all the emails with bad news go away, because I quickly get into a doing mode and an action mode and a solution mode and a can-do attitude mode. So I've embraced this this year. It's been very, very, very helpful, because with the pandemic throwing at us this huge transition, this huge change, I was equipped to just look at this and say, what's great about this situation? I mean, people think I'm crazy. What's great about a pandemic, right? What's great about COVID? Nothing. But for me, what's great about it is that I turned the obstacle into an opportunity.
Yes.
And I'm spreading that to my clients, to the people around me, knowing exactly, how to deal with myself first, locally, before going out there globally.
Nice.
So
and you seem to have a real fan base here. So Antimo says buongiorno from all over there in Oregon on the West Coast. Sumaya, assalamu alaikum, Sumaya. She says,
salam alaikum, Sumaya, sister.
Kiran Prasad, I believe in California, if I'm not mistaken, says she can relate to the identity journey. And Hank here says, muy bien. Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Excellent.
What a great network. Wonderful. Thank you so much. One little piece that I'd like to introduce, the Globaliscious. Of course, when you hear it, it's kind of friendly, because there's one word that is so similar to it, which is delicious. So I'm definitely a foodie. I'm a global foodie. But the Globaliscious really is kind of a iceberg analogy. There's something hidden in the name. It is not spelled like delicious with a C-I-O-U-S. It is spelled with an S-C-I-O-U-S. And you have to go below the surface of the iceberg to understand the hidden part of who you are, all those layers that you've got to discover on your own. Because really the work that we have to do as we go from one culture to another, one community to another, right here in the US, right? We're diverse enough. That one person that you need to know well is yourself before you navigate to other communities to then engage. So to adjust, your values and your beliefs. So the SC started with being very self-conscious. Oh my God, what am I? Am I black? Am I white? I'm brown. But I saw guys, I still wanted to be beautiful black like my African brothers and sisters that I saw in France, where I was born in Paris. I really thought, people laugh at it, what's wrong with me? I wasn't cooked all the way. So here's one way to look at race and color, right? I want to be just like her. I want to be chocolate. I didn't want to be caramel. That's not tasty. But so imagine those conversations. You know, we talk about inclusion. It's really I just make the best of friends when I tell stories like that, because it's real. That's the little girl in me was like, I'm not cooked all the way, Mom. You need to put me back in.
And I'm sure you learned over the course of your life that you are indeed fully cooked and you're perfect the way you are, right?
Absolutely, all shades of globaliciousness, you know. So, but I have something for you guys at some point, because through my work, the SC comes up. You know, this whole year, the SC comes up. There's been a shift, right? So from being self-conscious, there's been a shift of consciousness, right? Oh, you know what? I am unique, and you are unique, and you can't do what I do. I can't do what you do. We all are a family, so we work in a spirit of community. So I have a series of SCs, and as people see my work, I actually highlight the SC of Globaliscious in red, which is a nice fiery red like the sun, and red knows how connected I am to the sun that rises and sets, promising, you know, a new day to pile up from what we've done before. But hopefully, let's see, through the audience, I'll repeat it. Can anybody else think of other SCs besides self-conscious, the shift of consciousness, the spirit of community? I may have something fun for anybody else. So we'll put it out there, but I'm all yours.
Okay, here's a challenge. So people, what globalicious term would you think of when you see the acronym SC? I'm gonna give it a start here, a try. Just looking at you, Patricia, and knowing you a little bit, I would say you're a super connector.
Super connector, yeah.
Here, Antimo says self-care. Love it, love it. Yes, your turn.
Excellent, excellent, wonderful.
Well, you know, you live most of your time in Florida, right? And you know, we're talking about you were saying, well, right now I'm in. Where are you coming from to us from now?
So at this minute, actually, I am traveling. I'll be traveling for the next 3 to 4 months, and so I've started my transition from 2020 to 2021 with a self-care. So yes, Danimo, you're absolutely right. Which, by the way, it makes you the winner of a multicultural calendar 2021. So drop me a line in your address and I'll ship it to you. Thank you for participating. So I am actually physically in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I met my daughter, who lives in Virginia. She drove down, and we had an absolutely globalicious self-care week together with meditation and some good international cooking. And she's a vegan, so I adapted to that, and I feel amazing. And I'm off to New York State for Christmas. Then after that, I'll head back to Florida to go to the Caribbean and Latin America for work in 2021. So I'll be on the road again.
You're going to get a really snowy Christmas from what the forecast is saying. That's going to be nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Now, Patricia, I'm so happy you're on here with us today, because you watched yesterday's episode about the superstitions, and you made a comment about hanging the mirrors, right? That was you. And you said, I don't know where I get this from. So I'm happy that I can ask you directly now. So what is it with hanging the mirrors? Do you know?
So that's the episode on superstition. You know, I have not only an ethnic and lingual, big family. I also have multi-religion. So we have Jewish, and we have Buddhist and Muslims and Baptist, Catholic in my family. So I have mindfully learned not only about the religion. Actually, I'm glad to see Sumaya. I saw her say something that she's probably attending right now. I followed Ramadan with Sumaya this year. I said, I need to connect with my friends. How can I be part of their life? So I do that, and I learn about their beliefs. And we know that in culture, you have, in the US, we talk about people that are risk takers and control oriented, but I deal with a lot of people for whom fate and ancestors and a higher power is very important. And that needs to be really respected. So I walk the talk by embracing all of that. But I'm telling you, because I have layers of Western Africa, and from my paternal grandmother, there's an East Indian blood, and there's something genetic about me doing things naturally, like hanging, just covering my mirrors when I leave. Now, did I see a horror movie when I was little? Maybe, but I just feel better when I do that. I just happen to cover mirrors. If there is a hand mirror somewhere, I will turn it around. Because for me, just like the eyes, a mirror is a doorway to something else, and I decide when I project something into it or not. It's not going to come without me. So that's why in the episode yesterday, I said, maybe I'm protecting those spirits from me, actually. But there is a superstition that, yes, mirrors would maybe the gate to hell or what have you. No, it projects an image, and that's all we know about it. There's probably a lot more.
When you come back home and put the key in the lock of the front door, the spirits go, "Oh, dang it, Patricia's back home."
We out of here. That's something that there's certain things that we do that are natural, and we learn from grandparents. I mean, I know that when I moved to the French Caribbean and met that side of my family on my dad's side, there was a lot of superstition. There were a lot of things that I learned that was kind of spooky, and I didn't want to be scared, so I learned about them and the roots of the superstition, and really they're connected. We have a lot of connection. So I'll give you my superstition. Today I noticed that this is 115th, right? 115?
Yes, it is.
I am such a numerologist person. It's like 15 doesn't do anything for me, but 1 + 1 + 5 is 7. I'm cool. I like 7. I make it my way.
Well, I had a question. It was about, not a question, but a comment. In terms of when you just mentioned about observing or at least participating in an observation of a faith practice, like our wonderful teacher Samaya, who is on here, who might go through Ramadan and say, so you're not particularly saying that we need to appropriate the culture of that and assume that we've got some, we can participate in that way. But the learning part of it, do you think the learning part about the origins of why people, what they practice during things like Ramadan, through Hanukkah, through other Christian faiths and that kind of thing, even Buddhist faiths, right, where you can actually learn something from the practice? You don't have to assume that you are of that culture and appropriate it, but what you're doing is you're actually. So do you teach people this, or like the right boundaries between really being curious and learning about something and then taking the best of what you feel is going to be good for you, as opposed to fully culturally appropriating something? I don't know whether I'm asking the question the right way. It's a difficult thing, right? How do you explain that to people, especially from someone with such a rich cultural heritage like you?
Okay, absolutely. So, whether it's doing business, whether it's an expat situation, international student, anybody dealing with a new culture is trying to learn so much. And what you hear a lot is, I want to learn the do's and don'ts, and I want to learn the language. And say, why don't you learn about yourself first? And so what I teach is, first of all, understand, what makes me me, what makes that person unique, how do they communicate, introvert, extrovert, all of this is so very important. And because relationship and trust is so very important, when we look at, and I bring that, by the way, the diversity, equity, inclusion, and the DEI work, because there's just always this separation, it's them versus us, and fear of the unknown and rejection of the other. So when you get to know each other, when you get to know, below the surface of that iceberg, and those values, those beliefs, those traditions, the person's life, you then are showing interest. So I do teach that. Say, learn about yourself. What do you like? What does that person or that team or that neighbor has? What do they have in common? with you and build on that. So that's why I brought up, the game, or should I say the opportunity for our little trivia here and talk about the multicultural calendar. I'm very holidays oriented. People like to be cared for. People like to be shown compassion and empathy. So that is one thing that I'm all about: relationship, trust, compassion, and empathy. That's how you build trust. That's how people come to you and they don't see the threat. It starts there. It doesn't start with going straight to business and management style. That's the next stage, because actually when you have those 4 elements that I mentioned: compassion, empathy, relationship, and trust, you automatically are going to get a priority over anybody else, to be more approachable, and then get the resources that you did not expect. And this is what really happened for me. I'll give you an example. This year, because I work a lot in the hospitality, travel and hospitality industry, and also international education. Well, we know international education got a big hit this year. A lot of students didn't get, approved and could not come back and what have you. But the hospitality, the tourism, the travel, people are hungry for it. I literally told my clients, we need to keep working. We need to work with your employees that are staying home. Let's get them some coaching and some training. And they were very worried about, but we're not making money. I said, it's not about the money, it's planting the seeds. So by me doing this and not billing anything for the first 3 months, who do you think they're going to call when they're ready to go full blown with all of their training and coaching programs? So compassion, empathy for what people are going through, being part of their vision, being part of their environment, and then that relationship and that trust brings you the business. Nice. That was a long explanation, but I think I kind of
no, absolutely. What you're asking, right? And that's what we always talk about, right? It is planting the seeds as things that, and many cultures have long-term relationship as a basis of the building trust and credibility. Right. So anybody, whether they're doing our work and whether they're doing in general business, is to don't underestimate the seeds that you plant, right? And what they can do for you in the future. I think that's great. Yeah.
Yes, and you mentioned the word credibility. That's one of the words that shows up, right? So creating a space of credibility, that's another SC of Globaliscious. As a woman of color, I did not project credibility right away because of perception. Where you're young, you're a woman of color, what are you coming to teach us, all us men with all this experience? But knowing about myself, knowing what I bring to the table, I found a way around that perception to create the credibility that was needed. So there's a lot of work that we have to do on ourselves first before doing work on others.
Perfect. That's great.
Well, I know we only have limited time, so I want to make sure that we give another shout out to a winner, because Antimo is using information points because he won the lottery, the Globaliscious lottery. And he also gives you an advice. He says, when you come home next time, tell Alexa to tell the spirits that you're about to walk in the door. I love it. So, Patricia, you said in the beginning that there are so many layers to your Globaliscious identity. So for those that don't know you that well, what would you say are some of the most important layers of your Globaliscious identity if people are trying to pick the layers apart and see that for themselves?
Absolutely. Well, I'll give you the other layers by introducing something that's a message that I absolutely want to put out there today. Today is the 18th, right? Yeah, 18th of December. So in a couple of weeks, it'll be 2021. And I have, through all my coaching and all my training and everybody connected to me, knows that I refuse to let them say, I don't want to remember 2020 anymore. I can't wait for 2021. So the way that I've introduced that is every stage of your life builds you for the next one. Why do you want to forget? Why do you want to forget that your children first took that one step? You don't want to forget that. Then, started, running. We remember all those stages. So it's part of life. It creates memories. Right. So the layers of Miss Globaliscious is also every piece of me. Especially this year with a lot of interculturalist people in the field are trying to redesign themselves. And I always said, you are so equipped for this work. Just go deep inside. Look at your story as a young child, or when you started traveling or study abroad or teaching abroad. So for me, the different layers are with religion, for example. You know, when I first moved to the Caribbean, the one thing I must tell you, my mother's side of the family, they're all white, blonde, blue eyes. So that's what I felt my family was like. I moved to the Caribbean, I have all shades of everything. And I was like, that's looks like me, but I'm not connecting as much. Where I connected was church. I'm a part of the choir. Then I got into sports, track and field, and basketball, dancing, singing. And this is such a part of me today. And that's what I bring to the table in my Globaliscious retreats, even in my training rooms, or even one-on-one coaching. You know, if I have someone who doesn't speak English as a first language, is not feeling comfortable, I just say, sing this song for me. You know, what's your favorite American song? And Born in the USA. I remember this guy, like, I never heard that voice before. I want to hear it now in that speech that you're making. So I bring all of those passions that are really a part of me, that form me to who I am today, to create this spirit of community in my work. So
spirit of community.
We're walking into 2021 with a lot of goodies.
Spirit of community, right? Hey, that's another SC,
Spirit
right?
of community.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
Well, we've kind of come. I know we've got a short period of time. We could talk about this. We have to do it again. We have to do it again where we've got more time. And I know you're in the middle of travels, Patricia, but we were, you know, and thank you so much. You've squeezed us in. You've given us the honor of squeezing us into your wonderful travels, and all the best in those travels. And thank you so much. And everybody, if you know, we can reach out to us. You can find Patricia on Facebook and LinkedIn and all these kind of places if you want to ask more questions. You know, you will always learn at the feet of this wonderful woman. I trust you. This is wonderful. Thank you so much, Patricia. And and thank you everybody for joining. And Antimo, congratulations. You are a winner, my friend. You are a winner, right? And you're right. 2020 has been the best teacher. The learner just needs to show up. That's a great point. That is great. Yeah, absolutely.
Patricia, safe travels to you. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you in a wonderful 2021.
We shall. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, see you.
Good job. See you back on Monday.